Hi everyone, it's Rax. Last week I made a build guide on Detonating Arrow Marksman, and I said this is pretty much the godliest build I've ever seen in Last Epoch. A ton of you made it and said that you absolutely loved it. I got so many messages that people are destroying. And then I got very sad. I got very sad because my marksman died. Then I said, you want to know what? I'm going to make another one. While I leveled up, I've been talking to my stream all week about different things that we could do with this, and I've actually been spending a lot of time learning mechanics of Last Epoch, trying to become a better player. I've been spending a lot of time hitting these stupid little training dummies, and I've learned some things, and I learned a slightly new way to play this build, which is even more powerful, that I want to show you. Okay, so the first thing that I want to share about my build, which I didn't even realize when I made it, is this build actually gets to 101 chance to crit. So I didn't realize that, but it's 101 chance to crit. And then all the leech from the helmet is going to shut off. So one thing that people asked is, Rax, what do you do about the leech? Well, first of all, I can play without leech even in hardcore because I usually never get hit. And if I get hit, I just potion. But there is a beautiful way to solve that, and that's with a roll of health gain on melee hit. Health gain on melee hit on either of your daggers will solve your problem because it's not leech, it's health gain on hit, and leech is a different mechanic. So that's the first thing that I wanted to tell you. Then, if you go into the skills and you go into Explosive Trap, you'll notice there was a cute little node that we did not take before, and it was this one, that your explosive traps will now throw acid flasks. So everyone was asking me, Rax, what would happen if it threw the acid flask? And in the beginning, I was pretty skeptical about this for a few reasons. Acid flask is not going to do any damage, so it's going to need to have tremendous utility that we don't already have to somehow make it worthwhile. And it's going to exacerbate our mana problems. And the most obvious thing to get rid of would be the Dusk Shroud, which I am not willing to give up. So I messed around with it, and I've been playing with it all the time, and there is kind of a beautiful combination here to use with the Acid Flasks. You go over here, and you pick up this 400% chance to shred armor. More on that in 1 second. You get Frailty, you get Slow, you get Blind, and you get Haste. And this haste is a nice supplement to the haste that you already have in your passive tree. But then I was starting to wonder, how valuable is this armor shred? Because there aren't really any beautiful suffixes, I thought, on the weapons. So you might as well just go ahead and get armor shred here, right? Well, that's when my lovely chat pointed me to this graph. And if we look at armor shred, this might look a little bit confusing, but we're doing non-physical armor shred. And essentially the main thing to notice here is as the blue bars go higher, as you have more shred, that's the increased damage that you're doing. So you'll notice, okay, here at 200 armor shred stacks, we got 57.78, but all the way down here at like 85, we have 52.5. So getting all of this extra armor shred, while it is beneficial, is not that great. So then I started to ask myself, how quickly do I build armor shred with just the flasks? And the only way to know that is to sit here and test stuff. Watch as I hit the dummy and look at this thing right here, and you can see I instantly pretty much go to 200 armor shred stacks, essentially getting all of the value that I could possibly need, getting all the benefit here just out of the acid flasks themselves. And as you can see, I'm building up all of the penetration, I'm blinding, I'm applying frailty and the slow and everything. So after testing it, coming back here, the health on melee hit is probably the godliest suffix you could pick up. And if you want to pick up things like chill and stun, those are the things that we don't have access to that's going to stop the monsters in their tracks. But we got pretty much everything else. We got the blind, we got the frailty, we got the shred armor, and if you do get the ocean ring here, it does also have chill on hit. So you might not need the chill roll, but not everyone might have this ring. So another thing to understand here, okay, this doesn't have my updated planner, but what we're going to need to do, this is fine, I'll just do it live. So what we're going to need here, this is required. We are going to need T7 throwing cost on both rings. If you can't get the slam, then you're going to have to just wear exalted rings like I'm doing. My guy sucks. Like look how much damage I'm doing, and I can't tell you how much my guy sucks. But look how many times we're hitting for hundreds of thousands of damage. This is why the bosses die instantly. But I'm telling you, my guy sucks. I need to make him way better. But the only thing I'm going for is that -5 throwing attack mana cost. That's what I'm going for on both of my rings. I'm trying to bring my explosive trap down as far as possible. Another thing on the mana issue is we're going in here and we're picking, not that. Yeah, that. We're picking this up in order to make sure that we can just keep throwing them, and we're dropping the 5% damage while haste in order to get this done. We took some points, I think, out of evasion here. So that's super critical. So before we talked about how important the mana was, it's even more important now. This is why you're going to have to go for that. Okay, so let's go back to the planner here. So we don't want T7 lightning. We can just get rid of this. Well, we want it if we can get it. But what we really want is the throwing mana cost here at T7. Maybe a T7 and a T6 would work. I haven't tried that, but I'm not playing any games with it. I'm playing with double T7, and it feels pretty much exactly right. You also don't need the Siphon of Anguish ring anymore. The main reason we were taking is for the melee damage leached as health, but when you start to ramp up your crit, it's not going to help you anymore. So you don't have to use this. You can use an Exalted ring. You could use a red ring, which would be the best in slot ring. I knew this from the beginning. The reason why I didn't include it on my planner is because they're very hard to acquire, especially with LP, and then you're going to need to hit the slam in that. So it's probably more realistic just to get an Exalted ring here with throwing damage, health, endurance threshold, and then the other thing would be lightning damage. I'll update the planner. I'll paste it in here. I actually already had it updated. I don't know why it reverted. Here's another thing that I want to point out to you. So when you're going through here, I was looking at some of these passives, and some of these passives look like they would really help us. So right here, this says this is going to give us Dusk Shroud, and then you might think this Crimson Shroud is going to be incredible, right? So we just need to activate these two things, but these things do not work when you trigger them from throwing the traps. I can prove it to you. Look down here. You're going to see that I'm not getting either of these buffs. Sorry, my allergies are killing me. You see, I'm not getting either of these buffs. If I want to get them, I've got to walk up and melee with Detonating Arrow, and we are not willing to do this. And eventually, hopefully, there you see one of the buffs pops up. We keep meleeing, the other buff will pop up one of these years. There we go. So it does not work. So I just wanted to put these passives in here because everyone's saying, Rax, why don't you take these? These are godly. They don't work. So that's why when we go into Explosive Trap, we need to pick up this node because the Dusk Shroud will keep us alive. It's the same story as before. Our damage is insane. We need to focus on solving our mana and our survivability. So you take the 1 point out of here, put it into Smoke Traps, pick up the Acid Flask, spec it for the Shred Armor, the Frailty, the Blind, the Slow, and then the Haste, which is supplemented from this passive, and you should be absolutely frying. And the way that you will make that up is by taking out these 5 points, and you want to put them over here for the increased mana regeneration. And so this, without a single roll on your weapons, I don't have Shred Armor on my weapons, it's all from the traps, is going to give you this insane value of Shred Armor that's going to murder everything. And you can just see how many debuffs we have. We have the full shred, the poison, everything going there. The monsters aren't going to be able to do anything. One final comment that I want to make, and I wasn't too sure about this, but I spoke with McFluffin. McFluffin is a big guide writer, a big theory crafter for Diablo 4 and for Last Epoch. I talked to him about what's the better roll, increased lightning damage or the flat melee lightning damage. And he said Well, obviously, we know early game, the flat melee is always better. But he's thinking that a lot of people overestimate flat damage in the end game. And by the way, Maxroll is coming out with an actual DPS calculating tool that should be accurate. So we'll actually be able to calculate this very soon. But from the amount of shred that we can already build, and with the very high amount of the flat damage that we already have, the percent lightning damage should be better. That's why I changed the roles to percent lightning damage and percent lightning damage. And then in the blessing, where it used to be shred lightning, I go for percent lightning here as well. So with all of those changes, not only should you be doing way more damage, but you're applying way more debuffs, to the enemies. And it should be good as long as the mana cost is there. So this is, I think, like the final form of this build. If I think of anything else, or chat's there with me every day, we're always thinking about how we can make this better. I'll probably just update the build link, and maybe I'll do a pinned comment. I don't want to make like 100 videos on the same build, but this is going to be very, very strong for you. So get back in there, dominate, and I hope this helped you. One last thing, guys, real quick before you go. My friends over at the Crimson Market are giving away another custom Last Epoch PC, the Last ECLOCK. Last month, when they did the drawing, someone in my chat won the custom PC. So you can absolutely win. This is a real thing. This is a real computer. One quick reminder, if you would like to sign up, you go to the Crimson Market, the club. You pick your tier, it's going to give you loyalty points. Your loyalty points is what's going to enter you into the drawing. They do a drawing every month for a godly custom PC. There's a full explanation of everything that the site is about and their loyalty club. They want to do this for a very long time. It's pretty amazing. They sponsor a lot of streamers that you might know, like myself and my friend Woody. They've got an amazing Discord with all the updates. So go to the club, choose your tier, sign up, and I hope one of you guys is going to win the Last ECLOCK.